This is Mrs. Miller, your teacher at ELA Academy. Welcome to part 3 of the annotation demo for Their Eyes Were Watching God. In this video, we'll get back to Janie and Jody's relationship. Janie's husband Jody has a problem. To be a big shot mayor, he has to have a prestigious mayor's wife, and it doesn't do much good to have a trophy wife without showing her off. But at the same time, Jody is jealous. Joe never told Janie how jealous he was. He never told her how often he had seen the other men figuratively wallowing in her beautiful hair as she went about things in the store. What really sends him over the edge is when he catches one of the men standing behind her and touching her hair. That night, he ordered Janie to tie up her hair around the store. She was there in the store for him to look at, not those others. Remember that Janie is actually part white? The author makes a big deal out of the fact that Janie's hair is softer and straighter than the other people in town. The men are attracted to her like a rare exotic being. That's probably why Jody wanted her for mayor's wife. She's different and beautiful. And maybe her white ancestry makes him feel like that raises his status above his neighbors. It shows that he still buys into the idea that white is more prestigious than non-white. But remember, he considers women to basically be property, like cows and chickens, because they can't think for themselves. And since she's his property, he doesn't want anyone else to have her. Having her tie her hair up so that people can't see it shows that her hair is kind of the symbol of her specialness. By covering it up, he's protecting his property. And I have to throw this in. Since she left her first husband for him, now he has to wonder if she'll leave him for another man. So let's get all the way back to the heart of this chapter, the state of our protagonist's marriage. How does Jody's attitude toward women in general, and Janie in particular, affect things? When everyone is making up stories about the mule's free mule doings, Janie loved the conversations, and sometimes she thought up good stories on the mule. But Joe had forbidden her to indulge. Use Mrs. Mayor Stark's, Janie. And then when Janie wants to attend the mule's funeral, Jody won't let her. Why, Janie, you wouldn't be seen at a dragging out, would you? I'm a man even if I is the mayor, but the mayor's wife is something different again. So what do these quotes reveal about how Jody sees his marriage? His self-image and self-worth are tied up in being the mayor, the most important person in the town. Part of that is having a proper mayor's wife, one who's better than everyone else because she's so fine and well-mannered and privileged. Therefore, he doesn't want her to act like the commoners, even though she'd rather be their equal and have fun with them. Notice that he calls her Mrs. Mayor Starks, a name he uses to try to erase her personality. It's like she isn't even a person at all. She's a puppet that exists only to feed his ego and his image. I've made it sound like Jody doesn't have any feelings for Janie at all. That isn't totally true. When he bought Matt Bonner's mule, he wanted to explain to Janie that he'd done it for her. But he never said things like that. It just wasn't in him. Well, why not? He couldn't make himself speak his feelings out loud. He could only express himself by spending money on her. He bought the mule to please Janie, but he seems to feel that telling her that might make him vulnerable. Well, remember him slapping Janie because she ruined dinner and yelling at her for making small mistakes in the store and not letting her go to the mule's funeral and making her tie up her hair? All of these things make her upset, and they begin fighting about it. He really doesn't want to keep fighting, and he's longing for peace, but on his own terms. Janie's kept her mouth shut for years and put up with his behavior and given up on a lot of her dreams just to keep the peace. But Jody isn't willing to do that. He's terribly stubborn. If she doesn't make peace his way, with him winning and still in charge, then there will be no peace. Well, Jody's stubbornness leads Janie to a turning point. She stood there until something fell off the shelf inside her. It was her image of Jody tumbled down and shattered. But looking at it, she saw that it never was the flesh and blood figure of her dreams, just something she had grabbed up to drape her dreams over. What does this mean? She realizes that the Jody she loved was only a figment of her imagination. She had imagined the kind of husband that she'd like to have, and when Jody came along, well-dressed, with big dreams and offering to buy her everything she could want, courting her extravagantly like the other men did with Daisy, she put her dream on him like a dress on a mannequin. He wasn't the man of her dreams. She just fooled herself into believing he was. So now, she had no more blossomy openings dusting pollen over her man, neither any glistening young fruit where the petals used to be. This refers back to the symbol of the pear tree in Chapter 2. She has lost her ideals related to love. She's no longer the pear blossoms ecstatically opening up to honeybees that will bring her pleasure and joy. Age has shattered her illusions, and she's jaded. So we looked at 6 different things in this chapter, but really what everything points to is the condition of Janie and Jody's marriage. We can see that even though Jody tries to set himself up as citizen number 1, he's still very much a part of his culture, one that is trying to establish identity and dignity in the decades after slavery is abolished, but still falling prey to prejudices of its own. In this chapter, we focused on the way women are still being treated as having less intelligence and humanness than men, and being treated as property by their husbands. We looked at how this affects Janie and makes her realize that Jody really isn't the equal and soulmate that she hoped he would be. He was just a smooth talker who wound up treating her like a mule of the world, just like her grandmother warned her about. Those of you who are looking to dig deeper might explore this idea and think about why the author wrote this book in the first place. Look at what her grandmother had hoped to accomplish with Janie's mother. There's a lot of interesting analysis to do there. And of course, we're still just scratching the surface with what we've covered here. There's still a lot more digging and analysis you can do with Chapter 6. I hope this demo has helped you understand the novel a little better and see the kind of in-depth annotations you can make as you read. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me and my blog on social media. And if you like what I'm doing here, please consider supporting ELA Academy on Patreon. This is ELA Academy.